Hi, welcome to Module 4 of Present with Impact. This module is an extension of Module 3. Here I will talk about tips to make your PowerPoint really effective. So in this module, we will talk about these small do's and don'ts that will make the presentation very interesting and engaging for your audience. Here we will cover tips for using PowerPoint, persuading with facts, tips for data presentation. So let's start. The first rule that I will want to share with you all today when discussing how to design your presentations is the 10-20-30 rule. This is the golden rule of powerful business presentations. A rule followed by people who are giving presentations within their teams, in front of board of directors, or even in front of venture capitalists looking for investments for their business. Now you will think, what is this 10-20-30 rule? It's a very simple rule, but what it requires is an extensive planning and preparation on the part of the person who's delivering. And you can follow this rule only when you are absolutely clear on your why. You have an absolutely clearly and precisely defined hook and call for action. So here we go. A 10-20-30 rule primarily says that if you have 60 minutes to present, you should design only 10 slides and speak for only 20 minutes and use a font which is at least 13 size. So you will see what it actually does is it reduces the amount of information that you're putting on your PowerPoint, and it gives you more opportunity to talk and connect and engage with your audience. Only what is most important for them to see goes on the PowerPoint. Also, when we say you speak only for 20 minutes, what it basically means is that you keep a time in for anything that can go wrong. Any technical glitch, people walking in late, or any other problem that might occur, system not working, audio not clear, any other issue that may occur during the course of the presentation. When your speech time is only 20 minutes and you have 60 minutes to deliver, you are left with enough time to take care of things that might go wrong. And another very important thing it saves you time for is the questions of the audience. It's extremely important that you do have time planned for that in your presentation, especially in business presentations. So this is what the 10-20-30 rule presents or means. But it's easier said than done. It takes a lot of practice, multiple revisions of your content before you can fit the main idea between 10 slides. So the secret here is not the selection, but the rejection. Not what needs to go on the slide, but a decision on what needs to get out of the slides. And rest of the information has to be with you in your notes, in your mind. Hence, preparation of your delivery, of your script is also extremely important. Moving on. Persuade with facts. So once you've decided that you're going to have 10 slides, you can have more as well, depending on what you're presenting. Sometimes in technical presentations, I do understand people do need some extra slides, but the moral of the story is keep it as less as possible. So once you've decided how many slides you want, you've decided your preparation on the opening, middle, and end, now comes where you put your data on your slides. You put the information on the slides. Now, facts are critical for any business presentation. Your ability to convince your audience relies heavily on data and information that you share with them. But here's the catch. Data by itself is meaningless. It's when it is presented in a certain structure that it creates meaning. Graphs and tables can become an effective tool for you to convey that meaning to your audience. And that's where persuading with facts come into picture. As John Dewey said, we can have facts without thinking, but we cannot have thinking without facts. and you want your audience to think about what you're sharing with them or asking them to do about. So in this module, I'll be giving a basic introduction of what you should keep in mind when you're putting tables and graphs on your slide. In our advanced PowerPoint presentation course, I talk about in detail how to design a PowerPoint slide, how to design a headline, what kind of data goes into charts, what are different kind of graphs. But all of that is a part of an advanced course where the main focus is on designing the PowerPoint presentations. So coming back to our point of tables. So tables are the most commonly used form of data representation in any business setup. The benefits of using a table is look up for individual values. It's very simple. You can say in 2007, this is the data, 2008, this is the data, and it's very easy. People can easily look for the information that you're pointing out. You can compare individual values. You can present precise values, right? So if you have a table, you can say it was precisely 80,50,940 rupees. So whatever it is, you can give a very specific information. You can present both summary and detailed values. So you can design a summary of these are the three teams, their monthly efficiency levels, their monthly production levels, their turnaround time, and you can compile that into one table for them to see a comparative analysis, or you can make separate tables for each of the teams and it will still be easily understandable to the. So as you can see on your screen is a small sample of a table from one of the presentations. And what you can actually do is you can highlight certain blocks or values which you can tell people, specifically point them out while you're delivering and say, as you can see, in 1990 it was 30.4, in 1995 it went down to 27.6. So this way, when you highlight, it's easier for them to look for that one particular data or value set that you're pointing out. Next, we come to the graphs. Now, graphs present the overall shape of the data. Graphs will tell you when things are going up and going down. While our production has gone up, our sales have gone up, the profit margins have come down. Right. So these are some of the things which you can show people through the presentations in a graphs. It displays relationships between sets of quantitative values. Like I just gave you an example of, while the production has gone up from 2005 to 2019, but the profit margin has come down because increase in the raw material cost. So you can have these three values in one chart, let people see where the problem is, how the data is charting, what is it that they can. You can also use graphs when the message of the story is contained in the shape of data. As you can see on the screen, 10 most in-demand soft skills. Well, communication tops the chart with 57.9% companies saying it's the most important skill we want in our fresh hires. So here you have the data with each of the skills, putting it up, and you can pick up any one of them to represent whichever you want to talk about, how important it is in comparison to the others. So it is giving a specific message. So it also the display will be used to reveal relationships among whole sets of values. So you can, like I just gave a previous example of profit margin going down, the production definitely going up, sales going up, but at the same time, the cost of raw material, of freight has also gone up. So what could have been the profit margin? That's not as much as you would have expected. So these are certain things which graphs make it very easy for you to reflect and show to your audience, and it makes them think about what you're talking, and it doesn't remain only information of words. It becomes something very clear and they remember, and human beings have a pictographic or a pictorial memory. The more they see, the more they remember, and the numbers make more sense when they're visible graphically. So these are the two very specific areas of data representation. Of course, there are different forms and means in which you can present tables. There are different graphs which serve different purposes. And like I said, in our advanced presentation course, we deal with them. I talk about them. Out here, it is a reference to you so that in your presentations, you can start using them and you can research them on the net further if you want more information. Now here we come down to tips for designing PowerPoint. So this was about data representation. Now let's talk about our PowerPoint slides. Besides data, what else can we put in there? The first thumb rule, please remember, minimize the number of slides. In the world of presentation, less is more. Adopt a message-driven slide layout. Every slide should have one message. If you would have seen, all my slides have just one concept around which the entire information is presented. Either there is an image that describes it or one or two bullet points that talk about it. So this is a learning presentation, so it has more bullet points. But if I'm presenting to a client, the number of words on the slide further goes less. The number of slides further go down, and it's more image, more information, more data that I share. Choose a font style that your audience can read from a distance. Minimum 18, although I recommend 20 as a good one, and ideally 30. So like we did in 10, 20, 30 rule. So sometimes if you're in a smaller room with lesser audience, you don't need really a 30-point font. You can do the same with a smaller font as well. Use fonts like Cambria, Calibri, Arial, etc. These fonts are easily readable, even from a distance. Keep your text simple by using bullet points or short sentences, a use of it which you would have been seeing recurring in my presentation. Some other tips: use art or images to help convey your message. A picture speaks 1,000 words. If you have a picture, people will remember that particular information more. Make labels for charts and graphs understandable. So the labels should be very clear. So if you have a chart with two x's, what does x stand for and what does y-axis stand for should be very, very clear to the people. Make slide backgrounds subtle and keep them consistent. So you will see that the format of my slides is very consistent. It's white with black. You can also have black background with white. Anything where there is a contrast and people can see it clearly. Use high contrast background color. Check the spelling and grammar, extremely essential, very unprofessional. If you are not able to, or if audience finds out there is a mistake, kind of puts a question mark on your credibility. And the best way to do is just go into the review of your presentation and run the spell check. That does most of your work for you. So in short, remember the presentation rules. On the slides, only the keywords, reveal information little by little. You would have seen me using animation. Every bullet point comes one point at a time. And the reason for that is, if you put a lot of information on the slide at one go, people will be focused on reading. And it's proven scientifically through experimentation that people can't read and listen at the same time. They may remember the last thing you said, but they will not remember the entire concept. So if you put the entire slide in the very first go, all the information, they may start getting busy in reading rather than listening to you. So the better idea is to give information in bits and pieces, and every time you put a piece of information, give them a few seconds to read. You explain that in detail, and then you move on to the next point when you're ready. So that means you keep the control of your delivery in your hand. You keep the attention of your audience with you rather than on the PowerPoint. So PowerPoint becomes your tool rather than something that overtakes your presentation. And definitely make eye contact. This is something we will talk about in module number 5 in far more detail. So this is the exercise time, exercise number 6. Now this is a very interesting exercise and I will recommend everyone to definitely do it. There is this wonderful presentation called Death by PowerPoint. The presenter has given some wonderful tips on how can you make your presentations, your PowerPoints in particular, eye-catching, attention-grabbing and engaging, and make them so strong that they make your message, just by that particular word or image, your message goes clearly to your audience. So this is a very effective presentation. I'll recommend you all to watch this video. As always, the link is given in the document along with your handout. And when you watch this video, list the key pointers from the talk. Don't just watch it and forget about it. Sit down with a piece of paper, write down the pointers. You can use these as it is or modify them to fit your needs. You can research more, look for a few more presentations of similar sort. But I've gone through a lot in my experience. This is something I found was very concise, very specific. And for someone who's beginning at the beginner level of presentation, learning to improve them, and brush them further, this is a very good place to start from. But remember, your audiovisual can be used to keep your audience engaged, right? And that's the purpose of this module, to help you understand that. Thank you very much. Wish you all the best for your this exercise number 6, and I'll see you in module number 5.